Hi, it's Dorothy Guiney with Scrapbooking Quebec, and today I'm participating in the monthly YouTube Hop for the love of crafting and sharing. In June, we are celebrating the SCRAPROOM Kit Club. We're all doing one of their monthly challenges, and to make this even more fun, the SCRAPROOM is throwing in a prize for this YouTube Hop. It's one of their monthly kits. I'm going to put details on how to participate for the draw in the information box below. What I'm going to be doing is their formula challenge. So I'm going to have to cut paper to specific dimensions, play around with it a bit to look for a pleasing look, and then add photos, embellishments, title, text. I'm going to list all of that on the screen a little bit later on. And I'm doing it ×2 because I'm doing a double page layout. Here's what I'm going to be using. I have material from Cartabella's Home Again collection. And if you're looking for Chester, he's passed out solid just behind me, so he won't be joining us today. He sends his regards. I did a bit of preparation in advance. I prepared a frame style foundation with 4 sheets of paper, and I gutted 2 of them. I matted 7 photos with the paper that I gutted from behind the foundation page. I also cut apart a piece of paper. There were border strips and little squares, so I plan to decorate with that a little bit later on. And those are the 2 main papers I'll be using. I also have stickers, a pile of scraps that I dig into later as well, and a tray with alphas, enamel dots, ephemera, and all that stuff. So now what I'm going to do is cut apart my papers according to the formula. Again, I'm doing this ×2 because I'm doing a double page layout, but if you're over at the SCRAPROOM on their challenge, you only have to do 1 page. I'm also cutting this down in 2 papers, but the final result, I end up using 3 papers because some of the smaller pieces later on I end up replacing with other paper. So the wooden paper, I did it at 5 by 12. This floral paper, it's 3 by 9. I also cut out a long 1/2 inch strip, one 9 inches, the other 3 inches, and I'm going to cut out 2 blocks, what you see me doing there right now, 2.5 inches by 3 inches. Again, I put measurements for everything I do on the screen. So now I'm showing you the piles of paper, and one of them has to go on one page and the other on the other page. So the first thing I do is I play around with it a bit according to the challenge, but you'll see I end up abandoning that. What I end up doing is going with the larger pieces, and I set aside the smaller pieces, and as I'm creating the page, then I incorporate them into my layout. I don't know if that disqualifies me or not, but that's just the way I scrapbook. I always work with the bigger pieces and then come in with the smaller ones. So as you can see, my plan is to line up my photos across the 2 pages on this wood grain paper. Again, I cheated a bit because I trimmed each wood grain paper down by 1/4 inch so that it would fit within the frame. So I adhered those 4 pieces down, and now I'm adhering my photos. I'm going to reserve one of the photos to pop up on foam adhesive. That's going to be my focal point photo, and that is Chester being very, very naughty. He's jumping onto the stovetop. Clearly a habit we have to break. Anyway, what I did with that photo is I backed it in some other cardstock just to make it a little bit more sturdy and added some foam adhesive. I'm taking that wallet size photo that's already backed in the darker paper, and I'm adding some wood grain paper to that as well. Later on, I'll end up popping that up with foam adhesive as well. And now I'm taking these border strips. So I select 3 of them, and I'm going to have them span across the 2 pages, which is a really great way to unite 2 pages together. Now these all have kind of kitchen-y, homey sayings, which is perfect because Chester is in the kitchen here. And also in our home, cats and their silly antics are definitely part of our home life. So it works really, really well, this collection, for this story. So as you can see, they're all kind of staggered. They're not lined up perfectly. And now what you see me doing is coming in with one of those required pieces for the challenge. That's the 1/2 inch by 9 inch. So I decide to line it up along the bottom of that floral paper. And now what I'm going to start doing is working on the other clusters. Now, as you can see, I have those 2 smaller blocks. Those are the 3 inch by 2.5 inch. But I decide to replace it with this scrap of paper that I had on my desk. It's kind of charcoal with little blue polka dots. And I'm putting them in kitty corners, thinking that's where they're going to go. And on the right side, I'm actually going to use it to mat my journaling box. So that's just a piece of Project Life grid paper. It's a 1/4 inch smaller than that block of paper. And I'm going to create the main embellishment cluster on the bottom right-hand corner of this page. So basically my journaling box is all going to be part of this embellishment cluster. So I went into those stickers and I put a whole bunch of them on wax paper because I really don't know how I want to place them at this point. So that permits me to play around with placement. Again, they're all kind of kitchen-y things, but Chester is on the kitchen counter. I know he shouldn't be, but he is. Anyway, I'm playing around with it, and once I get something that I more or less like, I start sticking them to my page. I'll come back later on and finish this cluster with smaller pieces, and that is something I often do. I will create my clusters, and then I'll have a look at all of them, the page as a whole, and I'll try to unite my page by adding small things to the clusters. So that's what you see me doing there right now. So that one I'm not going to put on right now, and I end up coming in with a little kitchen scale, and that will be it for this one. So now what I got to do is somehow incorporate that block, another required piece, in the top left-hand corner. So at this point I'm thinking of layering it with decorations. So that's what you see me placing around pieces of ephemera and stuff like that. And then I'll end up going into the sticker sheet. I have no idea what I'm doing at this point, to be perfectly honest. What I do know is that I want that cluster in the top left to be less significant than the one in the bottom right. When I create embellishment clusters, I want there to be one main one and then complementary ones. So when I'm creating this one in the top left, because that home sweet home is so big, it risks becoming large. So that's kind of what I'm struggling with here now. That sticker there is one of those letter boards. It was on the sticker sheet, so I back it up with some cardstock because I do plan to pop it up with some foam adhesive. I also put cardstock behind that photo, that wallet size photo on the bottom left. Again, I plan to pop that up a little bit later on. I add a little decoration on that photo, that wallet size photo as well. Again, one of those letter boards. So I have 3 of those scattered around the page. Now I'm getting out the title. Those are foam thickers from Simple Story. So I absolutely love them. I have them on wax paper. Again, it's something I often do just to play around with placement. And now I'm finally sticking down that photo with foam adhesive. Again, it's part of my embellishment, I guess you would say. And once that's down, I will start working on my title. I'm going to get out stamps as well when I do that title, so I'm about to stick it down. I do obviously turn off my camera a bit when I put the title down, just because it takes me quite a bit of time. I'm still struggling in that top left-hand corner, and the struggle, like I said, is I'm trying to add stuff, but I don't want the cluster to become too big because it will compete with the embellishment cluster in the bottom right. So that cake plate that I really wanted to add ends up missing the cut. I take it out. So I'm putting that there, and I decide I'm going to leave it as is, and I'll go back to it later on. So I'm putting down the word Chester, and I am going to want to add something else to that. like I said, I stop my camera here and then I finish putting my letters, because foam letters are kind of flexible, so you have to fool around with them a bit, but they stick really well. Anyway, now what I'm doing is coming in with a stamp that says hello, and it's from a stamp set from Stampin' Up! That's called Jar of Love. And I'm doing that in, I don't know, it's called Pretty Peacock ink or something like that. So I like how that looks. It also kind of looks nice with that turquoisey border at the bottom of the page, but I do want to put a hint of turquoise in that top left hand corner, so I come out with two words that says Happy Hearth, so I'm good with that. And now I'm just having a look, and I'm a little bit off camera. Here's where I'm going to come in again and add something to that main cluster in the bottom right hand side. I'm basically taking an expression, a word phrase, and it says our happy place. You don't see me doing it, but what I'm doing is adding cardstock so I can pop it up with a bit of foam adhesive as well. And the only thing I have left to do is I add a few enamel dots in that strip at the bottom. I don't know if I mentioned it, but that was the final piece, the fifth piece that I had to add on these two pages, and I ended up replacing it. I originally had cut wood grain. Anyway, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I'd be thrilled if you subscribe to Scrapbooking Quebec. Also, check out all the other participants. Their information is listed below. And be sure to check out the Scrap Room. They are offering a super fun prize. All the details on how to enter the draw are listed below. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.